Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're learning Unreal Engine 5 from scratch. We'll cover everything from navigating the editor, to plugins, to creating your very first interactive blueprint. Let's dive in. First, when you open Unreal, you'll see the project browser. Start with the third person template under Games. It's perfect for learning. And we'll just name this Tutorial. Hit create. Now when you create a project, the first time you open it, it can take quite a while before it finally loads up. Let's start with navigating the viewport. In the viewport, hold your right mouse button and use WASD to move. W for forward, S for backwards, A for left, D for right. And that'll help you fly around and see everything you need to see from whatever angle you need to see it from. While holding your right mouse button, if you scroll your mouse wheel down, it turns your camera speed down. If you scroll it forward while holding the right mouse button, it speeds it up. So we can go up to 5, and it goes really fast. Or we can go down to 0.5, and it moves a lot slower. This allows you to get wherever you need to go. Without holding your right mouse button and scrolling your mouse wheel, you can pan in and out. If we select an object and press F, we can focus on it. Now let's move on to your move, rotate, and scale tools. You'll constantly switch between move, rotate, and scale tools, and the shortcuts for those are W, E, and R. If we select this ramp here, press W, we have our move gizmo here. Your move gizmo is the blue, red, and green arrows. And if you click and hold one, you can move it in different directions. If you press your E key, that brings your rotation gizmo. Now you can rotate it however you want. If you press your R key, now you have your scale gizmo. If you select just your Z axis, which is your blue, you can scale it in the Z. If you select the green, you can scale your Y. Or if you select your red, you can scale X. If you click this white block here in the middle that they all connect to, you can scale it in all three axes at the same time. And that works the same with your move gizmo. If you hold the white, you can move it in every direction. Now if you select where the Y and Z axes meet, where the two lines meet, you can lock it to move it in just Z and Y. Same goes for Z and X. And the same goes for X and Y. And we can do that same thing with your scale gizmo. Now if we want to place new actors in our scene, there's multiple ways you can do it. You can select your Place Actors panel. And drag in the actor you want to bring in. You can select this button up here and this will allow you to quickly add something to your project. We have basic actors here, different lights, cinematic cameras, cranes, rails, different shapes, other geometry, different volumes, post-process volumes, nav mesh bounds volume. Another way you can add things to your project is come down to your content drawer, open it up. Let's open up just a random object we have in here, and you just click and hold, and drag it into your level. Those are 3 quick ways to add new objects to your level. Now, organization is key. So let's open up our content drawer. Now we can right click in here and we can make a new folder. And I'll just name this tutorial. You can make different folders for different characters, other blueprints, materials, meshes, UI, whatever you need it for. You can make a new folder to help keep you organized while making your project. Now, another thing you will use in a lot of your projects are plugins. So I'll show you how to find those and enable them. Just go up here to our edit tab, select that, come down, and at the very bottom you'll see plugins. You open that up. Now you can scroll through all these and find ones that you might need for your project, or if you know which ones you need, you can come to your search bar here and type in what you're looking for, and any plugins with that word in it will come up. You select what you want. A lot of times when you enable a plugin, it will tell you that you need to restart Unreal, and you just select that down here and it will enable the plugin and restart Unreal. The next thing we're going to look at are your project settings. So let's go to edit and come down to project settings, select that. Some useful areas in your project settings will be maps and modes, input, and rendering. If we select maps and modes, you can see these different settings here. You can change your default game mode. You can change what map the editor starts up in. You can change what map the game default map is. And you can change your game instance just in this screen. We can go to input. You used to use this screen a lot more when axis and action mappings were common. Now they're deprecated. We use enhanced input actions and input mapping context. And last, rendering. We can come here and all these different settings for rendering projects. Now it will take you a while to come through all these and understand every one and figure out exactly how you want to set it for each project. But once you learn it, you're golden. You come down here, this is where you can turn lumen on and off. You can turn ray tracing on and off, turn nanite on and off. So this will be a good screen to learn for optimization of your projects. Let's look at some of the types of assets that you can create. So let's open up our content drawer. We'll open up our tutorial folder. Now if we right click in the content drawer, we'll see all these different assets that we can create. The most important, especially for a beginner, are going to be your blueprints, your widgets, your input actions, materials, and levels. You'll use those quite a bit, even when you're just starting out. One thing to remember is your blueprints will be where you put logic. Your widgets are for your UI. Your input is for your controls. Your materials are the different surfaces that you're going to see. And your levels are your maps and where you're going to be in your project. Now let's start with a little introduction to blueprints. Blueprints are Unreal's way of creating gameplay without coding. You connect nodes to define behavior. Visual scripting equals gameplay logic without code. Let's make one. Open up our content drawer, right click, scroll up to blueprint class, and select actor. And then we'll just name it BP light switch. Let's open that up. And we're going to add a few things to make this light switch. We just come up to our components panel, click add. We'll add a cube. Now this is a little big, so let's size it down. Let's go to our scale. Let's click this lock here. and that will lock all the scales the same. We just type 0.5. You see they all go down to 0.5. And then let's raise the location up about 150. Select on your cube in your components panel. Click add. And you can either scroll down. It has a lot of common ones here. We're going to use a point light. You can either select that one, or you can come up here and type in light, and it'll bring all your different lights up. And we'll just use a point light. Now let's select on our cube in our components panel. Hit add and just type in box. And we want this box collision. You can see it comes up at the scene root. If you come over here and you hit this little arrow over here, it will default this back to 0. Now if you remember, we raised the cube 150 to get it up, but now the box is at 0 and it's already raised up. And that's because this collision box is a child of the cube, meaning the cube is 0 for the collision box. Now let's make that collision box a little bit bigger, and we'll just go 3. Now select your default scene root, and now we'll add a point light. And it'll have your common choices down through here. Now it'll have your common choices right here on the top. We can select it there, or you can go to this search components tab and just type in light, and it'll bring up all the different lights that you can choose from. So let's just make a point light there. Now you see the point light's origin is at the scene root and it's 0. And that's because it's not a child of the cube. So let's raise that light up. Let's see, the cube was at 150. Let's go ahead and make the light 250. And that'll raise it up in the air. Let's make it at 300. Now we can compile and save that. Let's go to our level. If you remember, one of the ways to bring objects in, we can just select it here and drag it out. And if we play, come to it, nothing's happening. And that's because we didn't put the logic in the blueprint yet to tell it to turn on when we go into that collision box. So we just hit escape to end out of that. We can open up our blueprint light switch again. This time select the collision box. We just come over here and double click Event Actor Begin Overlap. And that'll bring us into our event graph, and it'll bring up that node. Another way to get to that, if you select Viewport up here, it brings you back to where we were. And if you just come over here to Event Graph, you can select it there. So let's just go Event Actor Begin Overlap. If you select this little arrow and drag off, type in toggle visibility. If you start to type it, it'll pop up. Now we want to toggle the visibility of our point light. Now our point light pops up on here automatically because it is a part of this blueprint. So we just select toggle visibility point light. Compile and save. Now one thing we want to do is select the point light in our Components tab and come over here to our Details panel, and let's unselect where it says Visible. Let's uncheck that box and compile and save it. Now that just means by default, it's not going to be visible. So now that our visibility is off, let's open up our level. Let's hit play again. Now let's run up to the cube. And as you can see the shadow of the cube down there. I know it's hard to see, so we can change that by coming into our map, holding Control and L, and it brings up this little gizmo right down here. If you hold Control and L, move this, move your mouse around, it changes your sun or your directional light. So let's just make it a little bit darker. Now let's play. Now run up to our cube, and now you can see the light come on a little bit easier. And just like that, you have a simple blueprint that works perfect every time with just a little bit of logic inside this blueprint. This is a simple blueprint. A lot of blueprints can get very large very fast. Even something as simple as adding controls to move your character can become large. And that's it. You just went from zero knowledge to navigating Unreal, using move, rotate, and scale, enabling plugins, organizing content, setting project settings, learning asset types, and building your first interactive blueprint. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if this helped. More Unreal Engine 5 tutorials are on the way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.